everyone, welcome back to the Self Starter Podcast. My name is Nicole Lauren, and I'm your amazing host. We have an amazing guest here, Christy Johnson. Christy and I go way back, and we just recorded for her podcast. So I'll leave a link in the show notes for you to go check that out. But we talked all about launching and my launch roadmap. So definitely give that a listen. But we're also going to do some launch talking over here on this podcast. Christy is an amazing business owner, Christy Johnson Creative, and she helps creative business owners in so many different ways. She has her own podcast as well, which I'll let her tell you all about. But she does a lot of launch management, project management. She also does branding and website design and systems integration. And she has an amazing team that helps her with all of that. So thank you so much, first of all, Christy, for being here. And let us know a little bit more about you and your podcast.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much for having me. We had such a blast recording for my podcast, and I just can't believe that we get to do it again right now. I'm so excited. So my podcast is called the Dream Biz Podcast, and I post episodes every week. I think I'm on episode like 120 or something around there. So
Wow.
going pretty strong. So we talk about anything that will help you streamline your business, really help you figure out what is going to be good for you. And instead of listening to what everyone else says you should be doing, I want you to figure out what is going to be good for you and what are the smallest number of steps that it is going to take for you to get there. I'm a big believer in keeping things simple and not overcomplicating things.
Yeah.
I love tech, so I talk a lot about software and systems and tech, but I always talk about why do you need to use this fancy software? Should you actually use this fancy software? Can you get by with like Google Docs instead? Like that really is what it is all about, is just figuring out what is going to be good for your brain to streamline your business and make it the most efficient. So that's what we talk about over there on the Dream Biz podcast. And with my business, Christy Johnson Creative, like you said, I have a full team. I have a team member who's a web developer and a tech integrator. I have a branding designer and graphic designer. I have an admin assistant and about to have an executive assistant and a chief happiness officer, which I'm very, very excited about that. And then there's me. I'm the CEO and the manager. And basically, what I do is we help people who are launching something in their business, whether it's a course or it's a new service that you haven't offered before, or maybe you are a service-based business owner and you're getting into subscription models, or you're getting into digital products or something like that, where you really need to start relying on more tech, more tools, and more pieces.
Mhm.
So, as a service-based business owner, like a photographer, which you are an incredible wedding photographer, and my background is wedding photography, so I kind of tend to default to that example. But I
Mhm.
used to be a piano teacher, so you can think piano teacher if that one appeals to you more. Um, you don't need a lot of stuff. You can talk to someone and say, "Hey, I'm a piano teacher." And they'll say, "Oh, I got a niece who would love to take from you." And you say, "Great, call me on the phone." Like it can be very, very simple. So as a service-based business owner, it is a lot easier to get by without a whole lot of tech. Once you start to scale your business and you want to stop trading your time one for one, time for money, or maybe you're like, shoot, this is what happened to me. I can't travel to people's houses anymore to teach their piano lessons. That's ridiculous. I need to do it in my own space. Well, then I need to charge more money, or maybe I need a studio. And then all of a sudden, you have more things to think about than just doing your job.
Mhm.
So I come in, Christy Johnson Creative, we come in to help you get to that next step. So we'll help you launch your first course, or take your service-based offer and make it one to many. Or if you have a course that you've launched and you've already kind of perfected it, we'll help you relaunch it, and we can do it for you just in terms of project management. If you're like, I just need someone to manage all the pieces for you, then we'll do that. But if you're like, I don't want any part of this. I want it to you to just do everything. Then that's where the team comes in and they will do all that for you. So that was a very long-winded answer to your simple question of what you do and what is your podcast about?
I love it. I think that's great. Chrissy is an amazing business person and she just, I mean, she kills it. She is very detail oriented and very caring. I think that's another aspect that's really nice about you is that you truly care about others and you truly care about
Oh.
making them feel included. So I really like that. I think that's awesome. So thank you for sharing. Yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit about kind of your process for helping creatives with their launches because I think this can be, and this is something we talked about on your podcast when you were interviewing me, but I feel like it is something that can be very mystical and like mysterious, and launches is, it's just, it can feel daunting, especially thinking back to before I really started in like passive income and courses and coaching and all that. It was really service based. And so I didn't really have like a launch strategy. You know, it wasn't like, oh, I need to like launch my services. That just doesn't really happen in the
Right.
services world. So when I was making the jump to being more, you know, having more resources, digital products, courses, coaching, things like that, I really felt underprepared for launching. And on your podcast, we talked about a few resources that we look to in terms of like books and courses and things like that. But tell me more about, you know, where you start. So let's say a client comes to you and they're like, "Hey, Christy, I I really need help with this launch." Like, what's your process like? Where do you start? And maybe this can help the listeners really think, you know, if you guys have an upcoming launch, this can help get the gears turning for you. Like, okay, where should I start? Like, I have this idea, I have this goal, and for me, I have so many ideas like all the time, and sometimes I need to bring myself back down to earth. So yeah, so walk us through kind of like that process for how it looks in your business.
Yeah, definitely. I would love to do that. And I'm just gonna give you all the steps because that's what I'm about.
I love it. Yeah.
I'm action based, like action steps, very actionable. Like I need to know the steps.
Yeah.
So basically, the entire premise for us, like the what's the word? The cornerstone
Mhm.
of how we help people is by preparing a roadmap for them.
Yeah.
So you have a roadmap that you sell in your product shop, which is incredible. We take that roadmap, we tailor make it, not your roadmap. We have our own roadmap. We take a roadmap, we totally customize it for your needs, your audience, your goals, and we walk through the implementation of that roadmap with you. So a launch roadmap, if you're not familiar with it, it's totally fine. It's literally just a word to talk about a Google Doc or a spreadsheet that keeps all of your launch details straight. So Nicole is a spreadsheet girl. I love that. I tend to be more of a Google Docs girl than a
Yeah.
spreadsheet. It's just the way my brain is. Some people like that, some people don't. So we actually use both because we know that some people need a spreadsheet and some people need a doc and some people want an Airtable and some
Yeah.
people want it to be all in Asana. So we literally do all of that for you. But basically in the roadmap, we have several things that we need to think about. And so if you're planning your launch, there's a lot of things that you need to think about. So I'm going to tell you all of them.
Love it.
First of all, is your timeline. You need to think about when do you want to launch? Spoiler alert, it really needs to be at least 3 months out.
Hmm.
If you
Yeah.
are starting to plan a launch, you need a month to figure out your strategy.
Hmm.
You need a month to prime your audience and you need a month to sell it to them.
Hmm.
So, and within that time frame as well, you have to build all of the pieces before you can welcome in your very first customer.
Hmm.
So we used to do launches and I would just say, yeah, you can come on, we'll take you on and we'll do it for you. Oh, you want to launch in like 4 weeks? Sure. Big mistake. You really do need 3 months. So now whenever we onboard a new client, we do a 3 month commitment. Hopefully they will love it so much and stay with us forever. But obviously, sometimes people come on just for lunch and that's fine. So you also need to think about, okay, if this is your very first time that you've ever thought about it, you need to pick a date that is at least 3 months from the date that you are in today. You can look through and decide, okay, well, I've done a lot of this stuff already, and then maybe you can do it 2 months out or whatever. But I definitely would not recommend planning a launch fewer than 8 weeks out. Um, just because your audience isn't going to be ready. So then you need to think about, okay, what is your lead generating event going to be? And that's just, some people do a webinar. Some people do a challenge. Some people do a workshop. Like it doesn't really matter. It doesn't even have to be live. And it doesn't even have to be an event. It could be a freebie. It could be like a PDF, or it could be a recording of a podcast episode that's a super secret podcast episode that they only get by signing up for it. It doesn't really matter. The point is you'd need some type of thing for the next step in your funnel. So the top of your funnel is going to be your free content, usually like your social media or your YouTube, because that's where can attract leads, or TikTok. The kids are on TikTok these days. I'm not really, but that would be like the top of your funnel. The next step is going to be something like a podcast, because a podcast, it's not really used to bring awareness to you. It's used to nurture your audience that you already have and to warm them up for your product. So that would be kind of like second level. Then you need them to take action. You need them to give you their email address, because otherwise, how are you going to be in touch with them afterwards? You're just going to be competing with everyone on social media, which is a terrible idea. So you have to decide what is that thing that you're going to give them, your lead generator, your freebie. Then you have to decide, well, when is your pre-launch going to start? And when is your launch week? And when does your pre-launch or priming your audience, when does that start? So we put all this in the roadmap. Typically, your priming of your audience is going to be 1 month. Then you're going to do your lead generating event at the start of the second month. And then you're going to have launch for like 2 weeks. And then you will have some follow up for 2 weeks after. So we spend the first month prepping, second month is priming, and the third month is promoting. Look at that alliteration. I just came up with that on the spot. My dad's a pastor, so I get that from him. So stop me if I'm like going too far, because I want to get through the roadmap. Any questions about the timeline, or should I keep going?
No, I think that's perfect. I think it's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the next thing that you want to have on the dock is going to be your assets. What is it that you actually need to build out? This is going to be your sales page, the landing page for your lead generating event, the delivery method of the lead generating event. Is it going to be, or the lead generator, we'll just call it a lead generator because it doesn't have to be an event. Is it going to be that they get it on a page, a separate web page? Is it going to be a course? Is it going to be that they have to get on a Zoom call? Like, what is that going to look like? What happens after they click? Is there going to be a tripwire? Like, what is there going to be? What assets do you actually need to build out? And what are you also, you have to think about graphics for everything. So for me, an asset is a landing page, and it's a graphic, and it's copy. And then what we do is we put all those things together when we're building it out. So there's a lot of assets that go into it. So we map it all out on your roadmap. And then you need your marketing strategy. You need a place to keep track of that. What's your email strategy? What's your social media strategy? What's your ads strategy if you're doing it? You may not be doing ads. You can just take that part out. If you have launched a couple times and you've converted pretty well, you've got some good data, some good numbers on your launch, then I would throw an ad strategy on top of that. I would not recommend doing ads until you know that your funnel is converting. And then your web strategy. What is this going to look like for you on your web page? And what pages are you going to build? Is this going to fall in line with what the rest of the stuff that you have on your web page? What's the user experience going to be like on your web page? Because you don't want customers to be confused if they go to your site and you suddenly put up a landing page that's like big new lead generating event. They're going to be so confused because like they go to NicoleLaurenPhotography.com for like photography. And then you have to slowly put in, oh, I also am an attorney. I also am an educator. but you can't just change NicoleLaurenPhotography.com to be Nicole Lauren Education at one fell swoop. People would be so
Yes.
confused.
Right.
So you have to have a strategy behind that. The next thing, and this I've only got two more things,
Mhm.
is the outline of your funnels. So this is your email funnels, is what I mean by that.
Yeah.
But it also includes a little bit of social because they might find it from socials, they might find it from
Yeah.
your website or whatever. So there needs to be a place for you to put your social media copy, a place for you to put your website copy, a place for you to put your email copy, and have boxes so that you can see everything and access it. Because you want this all to be in one place because a launch is a big deal. So you just want to make sure that you're not missing pieces. So it all needs to be on the
Yeah.
roadmap.
Yeah.
And then lastly, I would say would be your customer experience.
Mhm.
So what is the onboarding process going to be like? Once they act, people forget about this. People ask me like, what is onboarding, Christy? It's like, what is their experience with you once they buy? So
Mhm.
once they buy, are there crickets? That's not good because you've just been promoting to with them for like asking for their money for 4 weeks and then all of a sudden there's nothing.
Right.
um, that would be terrible. So how are you going to keep the momentum going once they've become a customer? Once they have bought, launched, bought from you, what does that look like? What does your client retention process look like? Or if you're launching, let's say it's a scalable service, it's a service and you actually do some work for them, like a project based, what does that process look like? Have you told them about what that will be? Do they know? Or have they just given you their money and then there's crickets? Like, you don't want that. You want to make sure that they will come back, that they have a good experience even after that. And then your offboarding process. If this lets you also have to think about what if you're selling a membership and they cancel? What if you are what if they cancel your membership? Because it's going to happen. Instead of feeling rejected and being sad and just saying, fine, you're dead to me. You want to have a process that would be like, thank you so much for being a member. I'm so
Mhm.
appreciative. If you ever want to come back, we would welcome you back. Here's how you do that. Goodbye. All the best. You
Yeah.
want to keep that going. So if they at the end of your mastermind, your 3 month mastermind, what are you going to do to say thank you so much for being a part of this mastermind, like,
Mhm.
and pay more money for me later? No, just kidding. But not really. And if it's a project, what is the process after you've worked on their project? How are they going to feel good through that as well?
Yeah.
So that is, I just word vomited everything for you because I wanted to get it all out there in a
Yeah.
row. It's your timeline, your assets, your marketing strategy, in all those places that we talked about, an outline of your funnels,
Mhm.
like where you can put in the copy and actually see it. And it's your strategy for your customer experience. It's all in one place. And it can be a spreadsheet like you have made for your
Mhm.
audience. It can be a Google Doc and a spreadsheet. I tend to do both. When you work with Christy Johnson Creative, we kind of give it to you in a way that it's like tailor made for you. It's custom made for you. So we'll do what
Yeah.
works for you. And it's just a place to keep it straight so that you feel fully supported and the plan and you're not confused and you're not stressed in the middle of the launch when it's like launch day and you're like, what do I post? Well, it's check the launch roadmap. It's there.
Mhm. I love that. I think that's so actionable and really helpful. And I think people on this in my audience are going to benefit from, that those steps and knowing like what to put in a roadmap. And I also like that you are a good resource for my audience too, in that, if you're listening and you're like, yeah, I would love to create my own roadmap and DIY it. That's great. But also, if you would like Christy to do it for you and give you a white glove experience to take care of everything behind the scenes, then you can do that as well. And I feel like there is so much value in that because when it does come to launching, it can be very daunting, like we were saying at the very beginning, that there's just so much to think about. And it's like an extra, like, can be an extra stress on your business and take away from you actually running your business, because
Mm-hmm.
you're kind of getting in the nitty-gritty of like this launch, and your expertise can be better used probably elsewhere. So yeah, I really appreciate you coming on the podcast, and I would love for you to share where people can find you in case they do want to take advantage of this service with you.
Yeah, definitely. So you can find me on Instagram at Christy Johnson Creative, and my name is spelled with an I. We both have spicy spelling for our names. I love it. So it's Christi Johnson with an H, creative. So you can go to Instagram at Christy Johnson Creative. You can go to ChristyJohnsonCreative.com. And when you go there to ChristyJohnsonCreative.com, there's a big button like 17 times on the page. But just find the one that you see that says book a consultation. So I would just love for you to book a call with me. I do free consultations. You can book a connect call if you just want to say hi. You can book a discovery call if you want to learn more about how we can help your business. I like either one. I love connecting. I love saying hi. So whichever one feels good for you, I like to give you options.
I love
So
that. I
that's
think
what they
that's
can
really
do.
awesome. Yeah, the Connect call. I have to steal that. That's
Yeah,
cool. I
exactly.
like that. Cool. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast again. And thank you so much, listeners, for joining us this week. And I'll see you next time on the Self Starter Podcast. Take care. Bye bye.